What's up, guys? This is Simon. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and discuss a topic, whether or not American Express credit cards have a spending limit. Now, if you know American Express credit cards, there are two types of cards that they offer. They offer your traditional credit card, which is like the American Express Blue card. They also offer the charge cards, which is the American Express Gold card, Platinum card, as well as the American Express Centurion card. Now, if you are new to my channel, you could check out all of my American Express credit card videos, including the Gold card, Platinum card, as well as the famous Centurion card, which got a lot of hits on my channel particularly. But I did a review unboxing of some of these credit cards as well, and I use American Express predominantly for both my business and personal purchases. I've also done videos of my most expensive purchase, although that video kind of has been outdated because I've bought something even more expensive since. But you could check that video out on my channel. It was a nice Rolex watch. Now, in this video, we're going to go ahead and discuss if American Express does actually have credit card limits or purchase limits. So as you know, the Centurion credit card or the Black card, for example, is supposed to be an invite-only, no-limit credit card. So is that the case? Do you actually have no limits on your purchases? And what would happen if you want to go ahead and buy, say, a very expensive car, watch, or anything that would raise a potential flag to American Express that a big purchase is coming? So I am going to go ahead and get into that video. As always, I remind you guys to make sure you don't forget to show some love and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Let's get into this one. Okay, so American Express, I've been using my Centurion card for almost 10 years now, and I have never had an issue with a purchase limit. So for example, when I went to buy something that was $10,000 on one single charge, never did American Express flag that transaction and had to have me verify the transaction. So whether I was buying something at Rolex or buying something at a luxury boutique store, some type of vehicle, or whatever it may be that a credit card would be accepted at, I never had to say pre-approve that credit card purchase. Now, again, the most expensive thing that I bought on the American Express Centurion credit card was a Rolex Gold watch. Now, the Rolex Gold Skydweller at that time ran me about $35,000 to $36,000. And to me, that was my single biggest purchase on one single charge at the time. So I actually got a great deal on that watch because that watch is now worth about $55,000. So I definitely made some money on that purchase and bought at the right time. As I always mention, you make money on the buy. Since then, I got a chance to buy a Rolex Rose Gold root beer. You may have seen me wear it in some of my videos, and some people have commented, nice root beer, nice watch, etc. Purchase was over $42,000 or $41,000 and change, and that was the single biggest purchase when you account for tax and everything. In California, of course, will tax you to death, so everything is more expensive out here. But that was my second biggest purchase. Now, when I made that purchase on my Centurion credit card, the transaction went through flawlessly. I did not need to notify American Express that I'm going to be buying something for $40,000+ on one single charge. And they approved it without any issues whatsoever. To sum this up, does American Express have limits on their charge cards? And the answer is absolutely they do. So if I was to go ahead and buy, say, a Lamborghini tomorrow, or a Ferrari, or any exotic car, or any exotic purchase of an item, American Express, first of all, has an automated or an autonomous alert system or a verification system that rates these type of transactions. So for example, a Rolex boutique is not going to raise a lot of flags because Rolex is acclaimed. Same thing for Patek Philippe, which I still want to do a video on their 2021 new lineup of watches that I haven't had a chance to do, but I will. If you purchase something there, American Express most likely will not have its red flag raised, or it may not raise something that would set off a concern to them, versus you going to a ma and pa jewelry place and all of a sudden charging $25,000, $30,000. They may say, hey, is that you, or what are you buying for that amount? So that's one factor I believe plays into American Express's security and automation in determining whether or not your limit has been reached or if there's potential fraud or problems with the purchase. Second thing is they also periodically at American Express, and I'm sure other credit cards out there, check how much income you make during a year and what your net worth is. And the reason they do that is because they want to make sure you could pay off your transactions. They're not going to go ahead and approve you for a ridiculous amount, say a $500,000 car on a credit card purchase, when you make less than $100,000 a year, because they're expecting that payment to be made back by the end of the month so you do not carry it over for the second month. Now here's a fact or a tidbit about American Express. Your payment is actually not late and not past due, even though it's 30 days from your invoice date. So they actually consider payments that are 60 days late, past due, that would potentially raise a flag and they would potentially take your credit card away. Now, they do charge late fees and they do charge interest rates on those payments. So you would potentially be in trouble if you skip a month and carry this balance over. They are going to ding you for that. So that's why I'm a proponent of, no matter whether it's a credit card or charge card, you always have to make the payment at the end of the month right away. Does this also apply for the American Express Platinum card? And the answer is no. The American Express Platinum also does not have a preset limit, but that does not mean that there is no limit. So they are going to, again, account for your income, account for your spending history, your payment history, your credit score, and a bunch of the other factors that go into every single purchase, depending who the vendor is, when you bought it, what time of year was the card present, were you there notifying, approving the transaction through your mobile app, phone or phone call, email, and then they may approve that transaction automatically or through the verification. So they're not giving you an unlimited spending limit. And when people talk about the Centurion card or the Black card having this no limit credit card where you could buy and spend anything and feel like the biggest baller, etc., you are still limited based on what your income is and based on what you could actually afford or what they feel is a secure way for them to collect the 3 to 4% on the merchant fee for processing a payment through American Express, yet still getting their money from you without having you to go to collections and losing a potential revenue source for them. So they check everything. And there are companies that they partner with, I'm sure, that allow them to fully check and vet every single transaction with an autonomous way, and they allow them to make those decisions instantly in real time to make sure that they're never out of a loss of money. So American Express calculates your credit limit based on how much you spend on the card, your history, and how much money you make. That is a simple formula, including your credit score into that effect, payment history. But that is basically the simple formula of how they determine each and every transaction, if it's going to be valid, flagged, or okay. So before you go ahead and buy everything that you could see in a store, because a no limit credit card sounds enticing, it sounds like a dream, it sounds like you could take a vacation, fly there on a first class private jet, etc. And then once you land there, you buy up everything and not worry about it. It's actually quite scary. People that feel like they have no preset limit may push the boundary, and that is potentially a problem. If you check out my other videos, you see I talk about never spending more than you make or never living above your means. Don't keep up with the Joneses. Don't try to spend more money than you could afford to pay that month. I'm not saying don't push the envelope where you buy things that you normally would not. Example, luxury watches, purses, whatever the hell you're interested in. But you got to understand the limits, and even American Express understands those limits way more than you probably do yourself. So when you get your American Express Centurion card and you tell everybody that it's a no limit card, remember they have a limit for you, and you are in a certain box of certain amount of income, and they put you in that category to make sure that the transactions that you make, they are going to go ahead and approve and ultimately collect on what you spend. Now, it also helps building a credit history, particularly with American Express as well. I've noticed that I would get a lot less red flags or less confirmations from American Express once I started buying a certain tier of purchases. So for example, if my average spend with American Express was around $1,000 per transaction. And I made 10 of those transactions and they approved. If I went ahead and spent, say, $1,500 on my next transaction, with my average being $1,000, that $1,500 transaction would also be approved without any issues. However, if I all of a sudden took this out of my average zone and out of my high spend limit, which is what I spent before, and finally spent $25,000 in one transaction or anywhere near there, American Express would hit that new high limit threshold. It would throw off a red flag and they would contact me and make sure that everything is fine with this purchase prior to approving it. So they may authorize the charge, they may accept it, but they may request that I contact them and that the merchant contacts them with a final authorization or submission for approval. So that does happen with American Express. So build up your credit with your credit cards, but also build up your high limits as well of what you've actually spent and paid for. That will go a long way for you to get your credit limits up where you are not embarrassed if you get declined while buying your first boat. All right, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video on whether or not American Express and their top credit cards have credit limits. The answer is yes. Do I have a credit limit? No. I want to spend as much as I can. Now, of course, I have a credit limit as well, and mine is pretty high. I think if I was to guess, I would probably get away with $100,000 to $150,000 single transaction before I would have to call them that I'm buying a big item and I need a pre-approval for that big ticket item, which I'm sure some people have to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. As always, comment below with any questions you may have about American Express, the Centurion card, Platinum card, any of the other credit cards, or anything related to entrepreneurism or finance. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you here in the next video.